All right, now to our college football Friday grab bag. We're going to start with Dabo Swinney,
This guy.
coach of the Clemson Tigers.
Who at one point a couple years ago was the heir apparent to Nick Saban, was arguably the best coach in college football, taking down Nick Saban. The highest paid coach, I believe, in the game, now with the exception of Kirby Smart, so I think the second highest. And if you're buying stock in futures, you're selling Dabo. You're selling hard.
Well, he's definitely, it's definitely going south for Dabo.
Yeah.
And you can tell by his attitude.
Yep.
And I also kind of think he's losing his marbles. Like, I feel like he's going insane.
Well, like we always say, what's the adage, right, in business? You adapt or die. And it feels like he's one of those guys that, I mean, he went from special teams coach, an afterthought, ends up getting the job. No one thinks anything of him. And he rebuilds Clemson into not just a national power, but a multiple national championship team. And the game in a short period of time has moved away from him. And he has a certain set of I don't know, values or ideas that he's not willing to budge on. And the game is passing him by. And he's going to hold on to it and be defiant about it. And whereas opposed Saban, this happened to Saban 8-9 years ago, and he pivoted and kind of embraced the new way of football. And Dabo is refusing to do it.
Yeah, Dabo's still pretty young. He's only 54.
Yeah.
So he's been making headlines recently because of what he said about the portal.
Yeah.
Here's the full context of the clip. Your context guy.
Love context.
This is about a minute and a half of Dabo talking about portal guys.
There's three types of players in the portal. I mean, it's really pretty simple. Most of the guys in the portal aren't good enough to play for us.
Yeah.
That's just
true.
the reality of it. I mean, we have guys that are backups at Clemson that go in the portal because they just want to have an opportunity. And most of them are graduates, by the way. But we have guys that are backups, or they want a chance to go play, and I got no problem with that. And so rarely do we have a starter leave Clemson. You've got the majority of the guys. They're guys that are in the portal because they want to have a chance to go start somewhere. Mm-hmm. They're not playing where they are. They're not good enough to come in and play for us. And so we'd rather take a good high school player as long as we can get them. Which we do, and you develop them. That's the first type. The second type of guy that goes in the portal is he's only going in the portal as a formality because the deal's already been done. Mm-hmm. He knows where he's going before he ever goes in the portal. So we're not getting that guy. Mm-hmm. And then the third type of guy is going in the portal just to see what he can get, and we're never going to win that war. So, we've been really fortunate. Because first of all, we're established, been there 16 years, mm-hmm. and we don't have a lot of attrition. I mean, we had 127 guys go through spring ball, and 125 are still on the roster, after spring, post-portal closing. So that's a miracle in today's world.
So when you hear it in context, because the headline was, Dabo says most players in the portal can't play for us.
And by the way, that's true.
It's a
true statement.
That's right.
But it's such a.
But that's the headline. And when you hear the whole context of what he said, I get what he's saying. He's falling behind.
He's spinning it. There is one program, outside of service academies where you can't really transfer in. Like, no one in their junior year is like, hey, you know what I'd like to do? Join the Naval Academy. Little hard. Right? You can't do it. So outside of those programs, there is not a single Division I Power 5 conference, or now Power 4, or even Group of 5, if I'm not mistaken, that didn't take a kid into the portal, with the exception of Clemson. So I'm sorry, but when multiple national championship teams have been buoyed up by transfer players, Michigan, Ohio State, Bama, Florida State, all of these teams have relied on transfers, but you're telling me that you're so star-spangled awesome down in Clemson that you can't work the portal, and that no one that leaves your program is someone that you want, and that you're just going to replace him with high school players? Cool having no depth. Cool having no one that can step in right away because of injuries. No real competition at your starting positions. I mean, that's just, it's insane. It's absolutely insanity. When every other major program from, Oregon, Bama, you name it, have all lived in the portal. to supplement already great recruiting classes, and you're sitting there saying that we don't need to be in the portal, that's you being either stubborn, naive, idiotic, or some combination of all three. And now you're just trying to put a spin on it saying we don't need to do this. It's like we've all been driving around, or we've all been riding horses for years, and then the car got invented, and Dabo's the guy being like, I don't think this car thing is gonna stick. You know what? I really like riding around on my horse, and I was really successful with horses. So this car thing, or the guy that didn't want to embrace technology, I think this computer thing's a fad. I don't think these smartphones are catching on. Like, it's silly. And if you're Clemson, not that Clemson's bad, but you have to be concerned that since the portal became a thing, this was Clemson's run with Dabo. 14-1, 14-1, 12-2, 15-0, 14-1.
Wow.
Like, that's
amazing.
And 2 national championships. I mean, and you played for others. I mean, I think you played in 4, lost 2, won 2. That's a hell of a run. And since then, 10-2, 10-3, 11-3, 9-4. Those aren't bad seasons, but they're not 15-0. They're not 14-1.
Well, their offense is dreadful.
It's dreadful. Oh, and by the way, you lost your coordinators that went somewhere else. You lost Venables. You lost Chad Morris, right? So you lost this great staff that you had, and you just don't have the horses quite like you used to. And so the difference between being 10-2, 10-3, 9-4, and 14-1, could you make the argument that it's 2 or 3 players at key positions? Maybe you get those key players via the transfer portal. I mean, look at it this year.
Well, look at it. Well, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, think about it. Like, who's the top? What's the preseason top 25 this year?
You want me to rattle off all 25?
Or give me the top 5.
It's Georgia. I think it's Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State, and Texas.
So, Texas's starting quarterback is from the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's quarterback is from the transfer portal.
Both of them.
I don't know if I think Beck may have been a high school kid. Ohio State's quarterback is from the transfer portal. Like, are we seeing a?
Well, yeah, I was about to say that. Look at it through the prism of Oregon. Think about some of the holes on Oregon's roster.
Yeah. And how they've been filled.
Through the portal. That makes you that much higher about the season.
Yeah.
You know, it's like didn't have that before.
No.
But now, yeah, that's the way to plug holes and stay on top. I don't know. Do you think he lasts? Dabo?
I think he's a sinking ship.
So is that a no?
Yeah. Last. Give me
4 years, 3 years?
I don't think he will be the coach in 5 years.
Yeah, he'll be out of there.
Because unfortunately, he's going to be a victim of his standards. And when your standards are this, and you playing for and winning national championships, and you're in a conference right now that is falling behind a little bit, and we'll see if maybe they can get out of it, but they're in a conference that's fallen behind. The revenue has fallen behind. You have not wanted to embrace the modernization of college football. You don't love paying players. You've made that abundantly clear. You hate the transfer portal. Your recruiting classes aren't what they were. And when's the last time Clemson really had a guy that you looked at and said, oh my God, that's the best player in the country at his position? There's just a small little fall off. And when the standard is winning national championships and you have that 10 to 15% reduction, I think think about it. If he has 3 more years where it is between 10-3 and 9-4, let's say that's the new standard. In 3 years, and you've now stacked 6 years in a row where your best season was 11-3 and losing in the Orange Bowl, you're going to be gone. You're making what, $11 million? You're going to be fired.
Is Clemson good enough though to get one of those coaches that will come in and fully embrace it? Like, because from my understanding of Clemson is they've had the success with Dabo. Like, would they be too afraid to move on from him because they don't think they can get another Dabo that embraces a more modern approach?
Trust me, when you are crowned up like that and you've had that taste of success, find me a level-headed program that hasn't had a knee-jerk reaction. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't faced more heat. And by the way, when every year we do this, he has a press conference where he's getting into pissing matches with his fans, and he's getting more defiant and more angry. It's just in places like that, man, down in the South where football is religion. I just think he's walking a fine line. And I think he's in some trouble. I think he needs a bounce back year or two in a big way. And I'm not certain that's coming. And I just love the idea of, well, the players in the portal, they can't even come and play here. I mean, that's
Most of them.
most of them. But they can go play at Georgia and then go play at Bama, they can go play at Oregon, they can play at SC. Like, you wouldn't want Caleb Williams? Because last time I checked, he's a pretty good guy that went in the portal.
Well, that's why he said most.
Yeah, most.